Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the EMF podcast. So, it's been a hot minute, and I apologize for the delay, but sometimes, especially as a smaller content creator, it can be a little difficult to get a good interview. I am fortunate enough to have a job where I interact with people who do a lot of traveling and come from all walks of life. And with these different experiences and backgrounds come unique stories and encounters. Today, I will be sharing one such story from a friend of mine at work. This is a really good one, and I feel very grateful and actually humbled that he decided to share this story. He said that I'm actually the first person that he's ever told this to, and I'm really glad he did. I've never heard a story like this before. It's very unique, and I really hope that you all enjoy listening just as much as I did. I'm your host, Ron King, and this is episode 3, Coincidence or Consequence.
The uh, the incident I had, I've actually had a couple of them from high school. The first one involved a very real dream that I had my this summer going into my senior year of high school. So I was about 16 and a half. And in this dream, I found myself in what I would describe as hell. Um, Fire, brimstone, you know, very, very real. I felt like I was awake. I was conscious. I was aware of everything. I had total control of what was taking place. In this encounter that I had. And in this encounter, I had, I met with a demon like being, and I was forced to choose which one of my two best friends would live or die. They were in a scale type, a cage scale type system, and one of them, my friend Bert, he was on my high school wrestling team. He was a year ahead of me. Very much my older brother, somebody that I looked up to, admired. Great athlete. And the second person was my friend Rochelle, who I had met working a summer job. My first, I would say probably like adult friend outside of my high school experience. And so in this dream, I was forced to choose, and I wouldn't be allowed to leave until I made this choice. And that was presented to me by the demonic apparition, the demonic being that I encountered. So I made the choice that my friend Rochelle was going to be the one who I wanted to live. And so as soon as I made that choice, I immediately came to, woke up from a deep sleep, again, very real. It took me a little while to reacquaint myself with my surroundings in my bedroom. And so I thought, it was just a very weird encounter. I kind of pushed it back, to the back of my brain. I didn't think anything of it until about 3 months later, when my friend Bert drowned in a swimming accident. And it kind of started to nag at me a little bit, but I thought it was just kind of coincidence. And then a year and a half later, my friend Rochelle, who was also, who was the one I chose to live, was diagnosed with cancer, and she had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she had to go through a lot of treatments, chemotherapy, and stuff like that. Got very, very thin, very weak as she was going through the treatments, but luckily she made it through, and she's doing okay. So one of the things that happened between my friend passing away and my friend Rochelle's cancer diagnosis and recovery was we were coming back from a track and field meet way out in eastern Colorado. So you're talking 6-hour bus ride there, 6-hour bus ride back, and on the way back from this track meet, we were telling ghost stories in the back of the bus, and they were getting pretty intense, and some of the folks were getting worked up. In fact, one of my friends who lived right next to our high school, literally a block away, refused to go home by himself. He begged me to give him a ride home, which I gladly did. And as I was driving to my parents' house on my way back home, which was 7 miles out of town, up a windy canyon road in the foothills of Colorado, some weird things started to happen. And so the first of those, I was alone in my truck, driving along, and the first big turn that takes you out of town, you pass by a subdivision, and then there's another curve that goes around. It's a giant S-turn, basically. And as I was driving through the second part of the S-curve, I heard something loud, like feet, landing on the roof of my truck. There was an audible bang. I could hear the metal flex down and then flex back up, and I was pretty freaked out by that. So I immediately punched it, and so drove very fast until I got off the main road. Made the right-hand turn to head up to my parents' house, and everything was going well. I pretty much calmed down until I was making the last turn on the dirt road to get to my parents' house. And as I was driving past the volunteer fire station, which always had a light on, I caught something reflected in my passenger side window, and it was red in color, which was not the color of the firehouse light. The firehouse light was basically a bright yellow light. And so I caught this image out of my right eye, and as I turned to look at it, it was my friend Bert's face, and it turned, looked at me, he smiled, and then disappeared. So my heart's pounding at this point. I made it to my parents' house. I was still pretty freaked out, and I decided to crack open the door of my truck to see if I could hear any crickets, any birds, anything, because I figured if there is no sound, that means that there's probably something there that's going to try and potentially get me or scare me again. And so fortunately, I heard some crickets and stuff like that, so I dashed into my house, and that's my experience.
Dang.
So, but yeah, it's I've always been, I wouldn't say superstitious, but I would say aware that there may be other planes of existence. I've had other odd phenomena happen. Nothing as real as just shared, but you get the sense of being watched, and then when you turn, there's nothing there. The potential for other presences and stuff like that. So I try to be very respectful of that, and to keep an open mind. So I appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to be on the Boo Boys broadcast and to share my story. So thank you very much.
Yeah, heck yeah, thanks. I really appreciate you doing this, because I remember the first time you kind of told me this in passing. I thought it was really an interesting story, something I hadn't really heard about before. Kind of gave me the chills, honestly. So yeah, I kind of wanted to talk more about that. So whenever you were in your dream, you said it felt like you were completely lucid, like you were completely in control of what you were doing, your actions, aware.
Correct.
So.
Yeah. Yes. I was in this held space,
Right.
For lack of a better word, but yes, I was fully in control. I sights, smells, feeling the heat, and then also knowing that I wanted to wake up and not being able to. The presence that I encountered in my dream basically said that I could not go until I made the choice that I made.
Right, and that's one thing, is like you were completely aware that you were in a dream, and you said you felt the heat. Like,
Yes.
Was it sort of like, how would you describe that?
So it was I would say it was very hot, kind of desert heat, very dry, but you could smell smoke, like it was the burning, kind of lava type.
That's crazy.
Type atmosphere, and yeah, it was all subterranean, cave-like. So you had stalactites, stalagmites, and it was it was a very troubling experience to be going through, knowing that there's no way that this could possibly be real, but also not being able to
Right.
escape until I made the choice that was required of me in order to basically get myself free and wake back up.
Yeah, so you said your friends, they were in, like, did you say they were in cages?
Yes. So if I was going to describe it as anything, it would be similar to the cages that you see at the beginning of Monty Python Search for the Holy Grail, when they're trying the witch. It was very, very similar to that. To where it's a full stand up, kind of bell shaped cage, that fits one or potentially two people, and each of my friends were wearing this. It was almost like a giblet or giblet, like you would almost encounter in like medieval times, when they would put a criminal in there, basically as their form of punishment.
So then you said it was almost like you were in a cave, so there's no sky or anything? It was just...
No sky, yeah. So it was basically just, from what I could perceive, it was a giant underground cavern. Red, black, lights, yellow from the flames.
Right. Yeah. I'm just picturing it. Minecraft has ruined me. I'm just picturing the Nether, something like that.
Yeah.
Just less blocky. But so this demon thing, what did he look like?
Kind of like your, I guess, classic devil. Probably similar to the two horns, red skin, red body, horns, yellow eyes.
Okay. Interesting. Did he have like a very unique kind of voice?
It was very deep. No accent, just a very sonorous type voice. Almost kind of. If I was going to compare the sound, it would be similar to what Darth Vader would sound like. Just a very,
Okay.
without the raspy breathing, but a very in charge, present, deep male voice.
So how long did it feel like you were trapped in the dream?
Uh, it felt like it felt like hours when really it was minutes. Is like a deep REM sleep type of a thing. So it felt like an eternity while I was asleep. But when I woke up, very little time had actually passed in the waking world.
Did you ever tell either of your friends about this dream after you had it, or?
No, I have not. I have not shared this story. With Bert, I didn't get a chance, and then with Rochelle, that's one of those things where I think it's better left unsaid. I don't want to weird her out or anything like that.
I'm beginning to question if we should air this.
Well, I won't tell her that it's on the air. So
Okay.
So, and I'm not using last names or anything like that. So.
Right. But no, that's interesting. I was wondering if maybe you told them and maybe you had a laugh about it, or.
I've thought about it a couple of times, but in the moment, we're sitting down and having long chats, catching up about stuff. Never really there's never really kind of an opening to actually bring that up. I'm sure.
Yeah, especially because just the implications of is it coincidence or consequence?
Yes.
Like something happening shortly after.
Yes.
And it's scary.
So.
Did I was curious because you said months had passed and then you were on this bus sharing stories. Did it ever come up whenever you were on that ride and everybody was?
No, it didn't come up on that ride, but I wanted to share that anecdote because my friend Bert, again, he was like an older brother to me, but also like an older brother, very mischievous. When we were doing gym class or weightlifting and stuff like that. Our gym teacher was a former wrestling coach at our high school, so Bert was a state champion, and so for the last 15 minutes of PE, he would roll the mat out, so we would have one small circle and proceed to use me as a wrestling dummy for all intents and purposes, so he could practice his moves and stuff like that. So he's a state champion, and so very very hard when you are a brand new wrestler to try and defend yourself against somebody who's got years more experience and skills and stuff like that. So but yeah, so very very mischievous in life, and I think once his spirit passed on, very very mischievous on the other side too. But that was the only time that I've ever encountered him since that time.
So, this who else have you told this story to? Just me, or?
Just you.
Wow.
Yeah. So exclusive right there.
That's crazy. So. I did not know that. Well, appreciate you sharing it first of all. Wow. So you think the dream and what happened those months later in that car where you saw your friend, you think those two events were connected then?
I think they are connected, and really I didn't put the pieces kind of together until after my friend's cancer diagnosis and recovery, and then it kind of hit me like, oh my goodness, like did it first it's just kind of like, yeah, that's kind of a weird dream, and then it's like, oh, okay, like I saw a bird, like that's a weird encounter, and it's like, oh shit, like she's got cancer, like, ooh, like that
Right.
that may not have actually been a dream, like that. Again, it was very real in that moment, and as time played out, I think there is something to be said for the encounter I had and the choice I had to make, and how that played out in real terms and in real time in my actual life.
Yeah, just having to make a choice like that, even in a dream, like, I wouldn't want to do it. That's
yeah, it was terrifying, scary. Again, something that I did not. It was a choice that I didn't want to have to make.
That'd be awful.
But I was not allowed to leave that space that I found myself in until I made a decision. And then once the decision was made, I was instantly back away.
Wow. So one thing I'm really curious about, because you said it sounded like something on that drive, something had hit the top of the car, like the roof of the car.
Yes.
How do you think that was connected to seeing your friend? Do you think they were connected at all, or?
I'm kind of speculating, but I think that, just because of Bert's mischievous personality, I think that might have been maybe a prelude to him actually being able to show himself or appear.
Okay.
So you get the other phenomena that lead up to an apparition, or
Right.
A spirit showing itself. And I think sound, smells, temperature changes, things of that nature. I think that those are kind of precursors to they build up to something bigger happening. And I'm not sure if it was that definitely piqued my anxiety, and that might have been that's emotional energy that after I was freaked out for so long, it built up to a point, and then as I was starting to kind of come back down, that's when I saw his face
Right.
turn, look at me, smile, and then disappear in my passenger side window.
That is an interesting thought, though. Like, maybe starting small, trying to affect your mental state,
Yep.
so that you become more susceptible, or it kind of opens up,
Yep.
almost like a doorway to be able to.
Well, and that would be another thing to think about is how are these beings, spirits, ghosts, how are they, is it just something like a movie that plays back in time, and they just go through the motions,
Right.
or are there beings out there who have a understanding of what they are, and use the means available to them to draw or manifest the energy that they need to make an appearance, impact real world people, objects, and that type of thing. And I think that some of the phenomena that you've discovered through your investigations, I think that kind of leads to maybe there are different types of ghosts, different
Right.
types of beings.
Because I know that kind of, I'm not sure if you've heard of the stone tape theory. It's basically like if there's like a traumatic incident of the past, like the energy surrounding that seeps into, almost like if it was a building, it seeps into the actual construction itself, and it's almost recorded onto it like a tape.
Yes.
So that kind of energy, and I guess those events that transpired
Yeah.
can kind of replay in a way.
So and so for for that event to happen, number one, we're on that long bus ride. Everybody's getting really freaked out, and so that's creating this energy, I guess, combined energy.
Right.
And then maybe for some reason or other, taking my friend home who was the most scared out of all of us, even though he lived a block away, in my truck. Maybe that energy transferred into the vehicle itself, and then allowed the experience I had to take place.
And the fact that he happened to manifest in the car like that does kind of like make it sound more like he was he was an intelligent spirit, because I mean, I don't think that anything traumatic happened in the car or anything like that at any time. Yeah. So, I mean, that would kind of make me think that he intentionally, he would have hit the top of the car, get your attention, get you rattled, and then spook you,
Yeah, and but, and he was very mischievous in life too. I mean, just lived life right on the edge. Big brother, definitely for me, and the older siblings do tend to mess with the younger siblings in unique ways. I've got a younger brother myself, and I know that I have found very interesting ways to torment him.
So I probably should have already asked this, but when you saw him manifest, what did he look like? Was it just his face, or did you see his body? Did you see right through him? Like, what was he wearing?
So it was just his face. So kind of the neck, kind of below the chin, and so as I turned, he was looking forward, kind of like he was sitting in the passenger seat, and then his face turned, looked at me, smiled, and then disappeared.
So it was just a face.
Yeah, just his face. But it would be, if he had actually been riding in my truck, that's where his face would have been.
Right.
Riding, so
that's pretty crazy. Dang. Shoot.
So, but I appreciate you having me. Be on your website. Huge fan. I love reading. About the different investigations that you do. I think you do a great job of trying to debunk honestly, or recreate the phenomena that you've detected. So I do like that transparency that you provide. There are a lot of reality type shows that I think, when people think parapsychology, paranormal investigations, I worry that, the real, I wouldn't say hobbyist, but I'll say enthusiast, kind of gets a bad rap from some of the more scripted, reality type TV shows that are out there. So thank you for being honest with your audience and for presenting the facts as you perceive them.
I'm always been interested in it, and sure there's a lot of entertainment shows out there, but I feel like you never really know, because of that, who's like talking it up, faking, and the only real way to know is to do it, to try and find out for yourself. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the EMF podcast. I hope that you all enjoyed this story, and I definitely hope to do this more and to hear more stories and experiences that people have to share. But until next time, this has been episode 3, Coincidence or Consequence. I'm your host, Ron King, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Stay spooky, everybody.